Morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, especially it's a 10 years celebration for ContentAsia.
Thank you.
And also from the presentation Stephen just shared that I realized that China is not so much part of Asia yet. I didn't see China in the whole deck. So
Which is why you're here.
yeah, which is why I'm here. So I'm from a company called Pearl Studio. So I would like to give an introduction on my company first, and then we talk about China and the world, which I'm sure would be a very interesting topic for you guys. So Pearl Studio, who are we? So this is our shareholder. Pearl Studio is 100% owned by Chinese investors, a 100% Chinese company. Our biggest shareholder is CMC, China Media Capital, which you might heard before. It's a quite famous media capital in China, and also it's a private equity that owns a wide portfolio of company, and we are part of the portfolio. And the portfolio also include, as you may see, the joint venture with Warner Brothers called Flagship, the joint venture with CAA and IMAX China and TVB as well. Our chairman is Li Ruigang. If you know, Ruigang is a very famous media executive in China. He used to be the chairman of SMG Shanghai Media Group, one of the biggest media group in China. And after that, he joined the government for a while, and then after that, he set up the China Media Capital. So Pearl Studio, we are headquartered in Shanghai with also presence in US. We have two offices in US, one in LA and then the other in New York. So we really have a global presence. And the company actually started about 5 years ago, and it's a joint venture. It was a joint venture 5 years ago with DreamWorks. So the previous name of the company is called Oriental DreamWorks, if you know. It is actually one of the biggest joint venture ever set up between China and the US. So we partner with DreamWorks, and they help to build the whole studio in Shanghai, and we co-produced with DreamWorks the film called Kung Fu Panda 3, released in 2016. Back in 2016 is actually the highest box office in terms of animated film in China of all time. So it's a big success. And so when we set up the joint venture 5 years ago, we have the vision that we want this company to learn from DreamWorks, to learn from Hollywood, and then grow up into an independent studio. That's why early this year, in the beginning of this year, we relaunched the studio brand. After CMC take the 100% ownership of the company, we relaunched the studio brand from Oriental DreamWorks to Pearl Studio. So now Pearl Studio is really an independent studio. We still have a very close relationship with DreamWorks, our partner, but we actually develop the project on our own, and also we have the freedom to work with any Hollywood studio on a project base, whatever it makes sense. So we named the studio Pearl because of two reasons. The first is Pearl means, represent our vision of East Midwest. It's a combination of the both cultures, and also the pearl on the hand echoes the Chinese saying 掌上明珠, the pearl on the hand, means we are presenting something very precious and valuable that represent the content we are trying to present to the world. So that's why we choose Pearl as our studio brand, and also we choose this logo. So our mission really is to be a premium family entertainment brand we're trying to create the family contents originally in China, rooted in China, but travel around the world, just like what we did with Kung Fu Panda. So this is really our mission. So in order to achieve that, we have a very unique creative capability, what we call creative powerhouse. Our creative team is very diversified, and it's also located in China and US on the both sides. Our team is generally 50% of our team is Chinese artists, and 50% is American Asians. So it's a great combination, and which create very diversified contents. And also we develop programs like Artist Residential, which it's an ongoing 12 months program that we allow developing artists from Hollywood, from US, to come to China to stay in Perth studio, to work with our team to create the mixed content that could travel, that mix Chinese culture and global fashion. And also we have a Brain Trust, which is an annual event that we invite the prestigious. Each year we invite 5 prestigious thinkers and creators from Hollywood to come to Perth Studio to join our idea generation section. Actually, some of our project is generated through Brain Trust.
Okay, so I forgot to say something in the beginning. Some of these posters have never been seen before, and they, if you could not take photographs of the following slides, I would be really grateful, because I've given Frank I've bet my life and my everything I own that that these won't get out. Thank you. Sorry, carry on.
Thank you. But the next one, you can't do it. Yeah, I want to start from Kung Fu Panda, because Kung Fu Panda is really our first film, and it really represents the value and the mission we're trying to carry. So Kung Fu Panda actually hit over 5 billion box office around the world, and in China, as I mentioned, that is at the time of 2016 is the highest of all time box office in animated film, over 1 billion. And I would also like to mention that it achieved even higher retail sales in the ancillary business, include consumer product, LB, retail, gaming. So all the non-theatrical part of the business is even bigger, which is quite important in China, especially in the family entertainment business. We actually developed over 2,000 pieces of consumer products. So yeah, this is the coming film. So please do not take photos. I want to share with you 3 coming films that we are developing for the next 3 years. So the first one is actually co-developed, co-produced with DreamWorks, and it's gonna be distributed by Universal, called Abominable. We didn't show it to the rest of the world yet, so you are the first batch that see the photo. Okay. So Abominable is a story that this lovely Yeti have a exciting journey from the Shanghai all the way to the hometown, Himalaya Stone Mountain. So in this film, we are trying to present the beauty of China in animation that never exists before to the world, so the world could see the beauty of China. This film is slated at Q3 of next year, 2019, and Universal Pictures is gonna distribute it outside of China. And in China, Perth Studio will manage the distribution by ourselves. The film is directed by Jill Curtin, who is a veteran in the Hollywood animation world. So that's gonna be the first. Abominable is gonna be the first original film developed by Perth Studio. The next one, Over the Moon. Over the Moon is a story based on the traditional Chinese mythology of the moon goddess Chang'e. It also have a contemporary part of China society. It's a musical film and slated in 2020. And the director, I'd like to mention the director, Glenn Keane. Glenn Keane is a legendary animator who spent 38 years in Disney Animation Studio. And he just won the Oscar this year with the short animated film called Dear Basketball with Kobe Bryant. So I'm really excited to have Glenn to be the director of Over the Moon. Actually, it is the first long-form feature Glenn directed after he left Disney. So Over the Moon would be a film co-developed and invested by Netflix, which is a whole new model that for the first time we tried, and we believe it's a good model because Netflix really is the revolutionary platform around the world now that trying to transform consumers from theaters to the digital platform. And we think we are the good partner with Netflix because China is a very unique market that the theatrical business is still growing very, very fast compared to the rest of the world. A big part of the reason is the urbanization progress in China is still going on. While in the rest of the world, the theatrical business is not developing so fast. You know, the consumer are moving from theaters to digital platform. And also the fact that Netflix is not in China yet, which makes this combination even more unique. So we are very excited to try this new model with Netflix. And the third one I would like to share is Monkey King. We actually have a development deal with Stephen Chow, which you all know, the legendary Hong Kong director, Stephen. Stephen is also a master of Journey to the West, Monkey King stories. And he always have a vision to produce animated film. So we actually, per studio, develop a very good story around the, Monkey King story. And we share with Stephen, and he's super excited. So we are co-developing this animated feature film, Monkey King, with him, which is gonna be super exciting. So this is the three projects that we are currently in. Actually, the first two, Abominable and Over the Moon, is already in production and with a slate, a release date. Monkey King is still in develop. And we also have a future slate for the next 5 years. We have over a dozen of projects in development stage. So our plan is from 2022, hopefully we will release 2 films every year. All those films is gonna be globally released, and a lot of them is related with Chinese culture, Chinese story. But our vision is those stories would be able to travel around the world. So Per Studio is today we believe is the only studio in China, rooted in China, that outputs the film that could travel around the world. That is the unique status of Per Studio. Okay, thank you. This is a brief introduction of our company.
Thank you, Frank. We have time for my questions. We also have one question on the from I keep wanting to say from Hits questions, but from Pigeonhole. So please vote for those. I'm going to ask my questions now, which is Crazy Rich Asians broke. I don't think we can get through the day without mentioning it 20 times, but it captured the global attention for Asian stories, Asian characters. You've had Kung Fu Panda, which was a uniquely Chinese story and animated. What else do you think might be drawn into this new awareness of Asia? Is it only film, or is there television component here as well?
Oh, it's a good question. Well, I didn't see the film Crazy Rich Asian yet, but obviously there's a lot of interest and a lot of the rising interest of Asian culture and the Chinese culture. So I see it as a positive signal that the Chinese story and Asian story is getting more and more interesting, attractive. I think I think that the challenge of the Chinese story or Asian story around the world is not the story itself. It is always the way that we tell the story. That, you know, particularly in China, there's not much storytelling technique and or talent that know how do we share the story and pitch the story in a way that it could travel around the world. So I believe there will be a rising trend and rising popularity of Asian story. And also, I think it's gonna be across the media platform. It's not just be feature film. Actually, we are also developing the TV series after the feature slate. So we think the content will come across multiple media platform.
What about budgets? Is there a minimum budget? Is there a minimum amount you need to spend in order to reach this global footprint?
Yeah, I think yes. In the animated world, usually we put 50 million as a threshold. So for the film above 50 million, we name it as a tempo movie that could travel around the world. That's very typical in the global animated feature film market. But we are also thinking about develop film below 50 million. We call it specialty film, which we can choose a flexible release strategy. We can do theatrical release in a selective market, and also do the other distribution or TV platform in other markets. So we do both, actually.
And you have some films that go over 100 million.
Yes, actually, I'd like to mention that for the first two films we are developing, Abominable and Over the Moon, it's all the tempo film that around 100 million budget. Yes.
I'm going to turn to this question, which both have 4 votes. Productions co-produced with Netflix will air on theatrical first regionally or only in China? How does your distribution strategy with Netflix work?
That's a good question.
Or how do the rights work?
That's a good question. Actually, the model with Netflix is very unique. We will do the theatrical release only in China, and we'll do the digital release on Netflix platform outside of China. But however, we will do very limited theatrical release in US as well, just for the Academy Award, because we believe Over the Moon have the opportunity to become the first, Oscar winner from China. So we will with Glenn Keane with the great story. So we really wanna try our best. So, but the model itself that actually reflect the strategy I just mentioned, that we believe China is the fast-growing theatrical business, theatrical market in the world, while in the rest of the world, we think Netflix is revolutionized the whole business model through different approach. So that's why we choose this combination.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to go to the other question with 4 votes. What's your team doing to address copyright royalty challenges for content generated in China but licensed across Asia and other markets? So do you have the same issues as everyone else with piracy and copyright infringements?
Yes, the challenge is always there, but I will say that it's getting much better. A big driver behind is the digital platform. Although Netflix is not in China, but we have 3 major platforms, Tencent, Youku, and iQIYI. If you know that those digital platform really is driving the protection, and through the technology, through the internet platform, we see that most of the contents is getting well protected through this digital platform. So I'm pretty optimistic in China, at least.
Well, and on that optimistic note, we've come to the end of the session, sadly, but Frank will be around if any of you want to talk to him. Please join me in thanking Frank for being with us today. Thanks, Frank.